Well, hello everybody, and thanks once more for tuning in to Classic Dirt Bike TV once again. And if you're a first-time visitor to my channel, I do hope you find something here to entertain you with regards to looking at these old vintage race bikes. Now, coming up in this next clip, we're going to take a look at the Kawasaki legend Laurence Spence and Keith Best, who were dicing in a very good race that was held at the Classic Motocross De Nations event at Ballyblack Road in Northern Ireland in 2016. And Laurence came out of retirement to take part in this event and was riding for the Northern Ireland 50 plus team. So enough chat from me just now, let's just get straight into the video. Yes, thanks for joining me here at the famous Ballyblack Road racetrack near Newtonards in Northern Ireland for the 2016 Classic Motocross De Nations, and we're looking at the riders lining up for the final 50 plus race of the Saturday evening. Now, a very good group of riders for this race, with countries including England, Czech Republic, Northern Ireland of course, Sweden, France, Wales, Scotland, Switzerland, Italy and Southern Ireland, all represented here. Now, the track conditions are almost perfect for classic racing, albeit slightly dusty, but a beautiful Saturday evening here at Ballyblack Road near Newtonards. So the green flag is up and we're just about to start this last and final 50 plus race from the Classic Motocross De Nations. So as I leave the line, it's a very good start by number 33. I think that's Peter Hollinshead on the big BSA for Wales. So Peter Hollinshead takes the whole shot as the rest of the chasing pack fall in behind. As you can see, a very big field of riders for this 50 plus race. And so as the riders begin lap 1 in this fantastic Ballyblack racetrack, thanks of course to the landowner Leslie Wright for the use of this fantastic racing venue. But the entire Friday and Saturday's racing here at Ballyblack Road for me was a fantastic weekend, and certainly one of the more memorable weekends I spent in Northern Ireland. So as we look to the far side of the track, it looks like your new race leader is Keith Best, who is in first position. Second is Peter Hollinshead on the BSA. In third position, it looks like Trevor Calderwood on the CZ. Fourth, looks like it's Laurence Spence as they make their way towards us. It's still Keith Best, your race leader. Second is Peter Hollinshead on the BSA. Third is Trevor Calderwood. Fourth is Laurence Spence. Laurence Spence is riding that Sidepiper CZ that he's borrowed from third place man Trevor Calderwood. So as they come round to complete lap 1, it's number 6 England, Keith Best, who is your race leader. Second is now still Peter Hollinshead. Third is Trevor Calderwood. Fourth is Laurence Spence. As we look at the remainder of the chasing pack as they cross the line to complete lap 1. A nice collection of bikes and riders in this 50 plus class race. Some of the Italian riders going through and some of the Southern Ireland riders. Number 43 there on the Husqvarna is beat Nat Flynn from Switzerland on his 250 Husky. And so as the dust begins to fly here at Ballyblack Road, we look to the far side of the racetrack, and your race leader is still Keith Best on the CZ. Second now is ex-Works Kawasaki rider Laurence Spence on that Sidepiper CZ. Now, of course, who could forget that iconic moment at the British Grand Prix at Farleigh Castle in 1983, when Laurence had been riding in a 45-minute moto and had been dicing with Graham Noyce in the final stages of the race, when just virtually yards from the checkered flag, that gearbox on his 500 Kawasaki seized up, and Laurence got off his bike and dragged it with the back wheel locked about 25 yards across the finish line. And then of course he just dropped to the ground completely exhausted. I personally wasn't there to witness it, but what an absolute hero he was on the day, and is still highly respected in the motocross world by his fellow riders for that moment. But as you can see here, he's giving Keith Best a very good run for his money, but it's still Keith Best, your race leader. Laurence Spence is right on his tail as they count down the laps. But in terms of this Ballyblack racetrack as a venue for this type of classic racing, you couldn't really get a better racetrack than this for vintage racing, and unfortunately this Ballyblack racetrack is no longer available for classic racing, but nevertheless it was a great 2 days of racing at this venue. Number 40 there coming through for Scotland, that's Willie Gordon on his BSA. And so as we look to the far side of the track again, it's still England's Keith Best leads Northern Ireland's Laurence Spence in second position. Now Laurence doesn't do an awful lot of motocross racing these days, but came out of retirement specifically to take part in this Classic Motocross De Nations event and represent Northern Ireland in this 50 plus class. But as you can see, Laurence is now looking for a way past Keith Best. Now Keith Best of course is one of England's top twin shock racers, and as you can see, Keith is very quick on his particular CZ, and this old Sidepiper of Laurence Spence was loaned to him by Trevor Calderwood, who is also racing in this race. And thankfully the weather stayed absolutely perfect over the course of the 2 days of the Friday and Saturday, and you've got to remember that this was the 16th and 17th of September that this event took place, so it was getting later in the year, but nevertheless the weather was perfect. Number 39 there, that's Ian Stainton on the BSA. Number 7 is of course Rupert Copping on his 380 CZ. So as we're looking to the battle at the front of the pack, it's still Keith Best on his 380 CZ that still leads Laurence Spence in second position. Both these bikes of course Czechoslovakian CZ machines, and this bike of Keith Best's I'm sure will be a later 1970s machine, whereby the bike that Laurence Spence is riding is an old late 1960s Sidepiper 380. So as they come round to complete yet another lap, it's still at number 6 Keith Best who is your race leader. Second is still Northern Ireland's Laurence Spence. So as they come round to cross the line to complete yet another lap, this has been a fantastic run by Keith Best at the front, but Laurence Spence is still in there fighting in that second position. Now we're looking at number 14, that's Trevor Calderwood. Trevor Calderwood of course a very accomplished racer in himself, and he won the Don Matthews World CZ Championships in California, I think it was, in this very same year. So as you can see, Trevor a very quick rider on these Czechoslovakian bikes. And again, quite a decent crowd gathered to watch this 2016 Classic De Nations race. So we're looking to the far side of the track once again, but it's still Keith Best, who is managing to keep Laurence Spence behind him on his Sidepiper CZ, but these two have basically been battling since the very start of this race, but it's still England's Keith Best who is your race leader, with Laurence Spence still hanging in there in second place. But there's still a few laps to go yet, so there's still time for this lead to change in this 50 plus race. And so as both riders make the turn and head towards the jump, it's Keith Best on the 380 CZ, and Laurence Spence is riding the smaller capacity 360 CZ, but nevertheless two very quick bikes, as you can see. So it's still Keith Best, your race leader, from this man here, number 15, Laurence Spence. But as you can see, a beautiful evening for classic racing here at Ballyblack Road. We're looking at number 14 again, Trevor Calderwood, the owner and operator of Chiltech Refrigeration in Northern Ireland, and Trevor of course has a good collection of these old CZ bikes that he likes to race at the weekends when he's not running his refrigeration business. Okay, just coming towards us now, we're looking at number 7. That's Rupert Copping, who's riding at 380 CZ, a very big collection of these Czechoslovakian bikes at this Classic Motocross De Nation. A very popular bike for this type of racing. And number 55 coming towards us there, that's Stevie Shaw for Southern Ireland, riding his CZ 380. And while we've been looking at some of the other riders, you can see that we have a new change of leader at the front. It's Laurence Spence who is your new race leader, and he is already beginning to pull away a gap on second place man Keith Best. So Keith has been leading this race for most of the moto, but Laurence appears to have got the better of him. So that is your new race leader, number 15, Laurence Spence from Northern Ireland. Second is Keith Best there, number 6 on that black 380 CZ machine. Now number 13 there, that's Adrian Lappin on one of the Cecil Pearson Rickman Jap machines. Very powerful bikes, these old Japs, and this is quite a long race for one of these old Jap bikes, because these have total loss oil lubrication, and these long races are not exactly well suited to the old Jap bikes. But we're looking at our race leader at the far side of the racetrack. It's now Laurence Spence who is your race leader. Second is still Keith Best, but Laurence appears to be opening up a slight gap on England's Keith Best, but Laurence is certainly on his way with just a couple of laps to go. Now, we never actually got to see the pass for Laurence on Keith Best, whether it was just maybe a mistake that Keith made in one of the corners, but nevertheless it's Laurence Spence who is your new race leader as he comes round to complete another lap. So it's number 15 Laurence Spence first, second is Keith Best here, number 6 on that very quick 380 CZ machine. But not forgetting Keith, of course. Keith is one of England's top classic racers, and he's still doing very well here at Ballyblack Road. Okay, coming towards us, we're looking at Adrian Lappin once again, going round the outside on that Cecil Pearson Jap machine. I just hope the old Jap doesn't run out of engine oil before the end of this race moto. But quite a nice view of the start and finish line and the crowd lined up, filmed from the platform that was very kindly supplied to me by Cecil Pearson, so thanks to Cecil for his camera platform. So we're looking at the race leader, number 15, Laurence Spence, as he comes round to complete yet another racing lap with I think it's only 2 laps remaining, and he seems to have increased his lead over second place man number 6, Keith Best. So it's number 15, Laurence Spence, who is your current race leader. Although the rest of the chasing pack beginning to now get a bit stretched out as we head towards the final stages of this particular race. Number 50 coming towards us there is Massimo Magni on his 380 CZ, representing Italy, of course. Number 14 once again is Trevor Calderwood, who's done very well right from the start of this race and is still running in the top 3 or 4 in this race. So Trevor still doing well as we head towards the final stages of this race. But an absolutely beautiful part of the country here in Northern Ireland, here at Ballyblack Road. As you can see, some superb countryside as we focus in on our race leader, Laurence Spence, as he makes his way round to start his last and final lap of this 50 plus race. Laurence just having a little look there to see where Keith Best is, but Keith seems to have dropped back ever so slightly. So here is your race leader as he comes round to begin his last and final lap. It's number 15, Laurence Spence for Northern Ireland. Second place is still Keith Best, number 6, and it looks like one of the Welsh riders could be possibly there in third position. But for me personally, this was a fantastic 2 days of racing at this Classic Motocross De Nations event at Ballyblack Road in Northern Ireland, and certainly one of the best race events that I had attended in recent years. So we're just looking at some of the riders making their way across the start and finish line to begin their last and final lap, as we look at number 14, Trevor Calderwood, as he heads to complete his last lap of this Ballyblack racetrack. But it's been a very good race, this 50 plus race, the very last race of course of the Saturday evening here at the 2016 Motocross De Nations, and Laurence Spence has been absolutely superb when he started in about 4th or 5th position and made his way through the pack, and is now coming towards the checkered flag to take the win in this 50 plus race here at Ballyblack Road. So it's a very deserved win for number 15, Laurence Spence, on that CZ 380 Sidepiper. Well, I do hope you enjoyed that little dice there between Laurence Spence and Keith Best. Just goes to show that once you're a top rider, you'll always be a top rider. So coming up in my next video, we'll be taking more paddock walkabouts through the race events from the last few years and picking out some of the very nice bikes that I spotted during my travels. So I do hope you'll return to see that. So thanks once again, and we'll speak again very soon when we all return to Classic Dirt Bike TV.